Om. Let us quietly meditate on these words. At dawn, I meditate within my heart on the self-effulgent Atman, the existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. The goal of the highest classes of beings, that which is transcendent and eternal, that which is beyond the states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. I am verily that indivisible Brahman, and not a combination of material elements. Pratar smarami hridisam Puramatma tattvam Sachit sukham paramaham Sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara shushuptamavaiti nityam Tad brahmanishkalamaham Nacha bhuta sangaha. This is one of the verses by Shankaracharya in his hymn called Pratar Smarami. The subject today is, what is I? And this has been the eternal quest. And as long as human life is going to exist, these questions will be asked again and again. From the earliest past, you can understand that there was this, what are we? Closer home, who am I? And this has been the starting point of all religions, all philosophies, all superfine or mundane thought. This idea of this individuality, that sometimes it has been elevating, sometimes it has been frightening. So we have, with the advance of science, new tools at our disposal, and more answers are being placed. Or rather, the old ideas are evolving into more sophisticated ideas of I, being. Okay. So there has been an upsurge of interest because of this. And one of the reasons why there is an upsurge of interest also in Eastern philosophies, especially Buddhism, which speaks of, one of the philosophies of Buddhism, which speaks of the non-self. There is no self. Or Vedanta's concept of an illusory self and the transcendental self. Combine this with pseudo-philosophers and half-baked philosophers. And the guy on the street, they put very simplistic arguments about what is I. And with all this, nobody is very happy with it. At times, the I becomes a terror. And we try to escape from it. You know how. Whatever the scientific, neurology, psychology, etc., now biology also thrown in, and don't forget the physics side of things. They are finding that this I is just the tip of an iceberg. Because you see also that even in the states of coma, there is a persistence of this I. The person inside is aware that person is an individual. So much for the opening salvo. People are trying to be the authentic self. I don't know what authentic self means. These are relative terms, you know. But today's world of psychology also speaks about depersonalization and derealization. Don't get frightened with these terms. If you are a scholar, you will come up with newer and newer terms. This is the feeling that the world seems kind of unreal. And that includes my body also. There's a tinge of unreality. Sometimes it is you see yourself as if you're a kind of a third person watching it from outside. So this is actually, it's a very disturbing psychological disorder, and it leads to stress, etc. Not only that, we have now not a general permission, but people are now, researchers are now experimenting with all types of drugs. There are three classes, main three classes. The first is, as we know, is psychoactive drugs. These called drugs, alcohol and stimulants, all these kind of things. They change your nervous system. Include caffeine also. And so it changes your mood also and behavior. Okay. The other type is, we all know, psychotropic drugs. They affect the mind. Okay. So these are generally used in psychiatric illnesses, etc. It also affects your perception. And the third class, which is now they are going in a very big way, psychedelics. The apparent expansion of the self, or the ego death, so many other things. And people think, oh, I experienced certain things. All these things have, however, I'm not talking about the merits and the demerits, but it has opened a vaster field than the thing confined to just pure scientific approach or a philosophic approach. So these are now certain areas that we find people are searching, trying to understand I. not this I. See, there's never been a time in the history of the human race where we have conquered so much of the external world, made it pliable for our needs, that compared to the other ages, we are like kings and queens and, of course, everything in between. Yes, we don't realize. Objectively, it's a wonderful time to be living in this age. Subjectively, of course, there has never been a worse time. We know what it is. We've been so confused, so poor, so fragile. We are so touchy. We are so everything. So this has spawned also this trend of narcissism. Somehow we are going to protect this and put barricades around it or trying to authenticate it, whatever. So these are the things that are happening now. So codependence, depression, stress, anxiety is the result of an unhealthy I. When the I is robust, all these things can be overcome very easily. So each one of us is on the journey of life. It's the journey of life. Nobody knows where the journey begins and where it ends. But we are faced with this existential crisis. There are these inner conflicts. Whether life has meaning or whether it's meaningful to undertake the journey and for what purpose, etc. You start asking these questions and you'll find there are no answers around. So it has become the talking in terms of today's society is suffering from the lost self. Emptiness, and as I said, codependency. Now, according to Vedanta, they have stated what's the goal of life. They have stated what's the goal of life. People are surprised. Oh, is there a goal of life? Yeah. We thought it was making money and becoming famous and all. Oh, that has been tried for maybe 15, 20,000 years. It hasn't worked. So, too bad. There must be something better than this. So, what we know about the I is just a kind of a superficial acquaintance with this. And how is it? It's called the autobiographical self. This self here, the I that is there within. So it receives sensation from outside, obviously, and from within the body. And it brings out a kind of a coherent sense of I, which is joined to memory. So it is biology, physiology, psychology, memory, everything goes and combines into making yourself into a kind of a coherent. So it's constructed. This autobiographical self is a constructed self. It is, of course, hardwired and even soft-wired in the brain. there is a part of the brain which distinguishes between the self and the non-self. Sometimes the construction is favorable, sometimes it is unfavorable. So the idea of the self depends on one's memory and also this. And that's why when we suffer from dementia, and then we know what happens. Everything is going away. That person does not even, he or she does not know the name which is identified. That also is gone. So this is the self that we know of, the I. Well, as I said, now this has become mysterious. It's one of the most mysterious things. People want, they want mystery and they go for a treasure hunt or whatever they are. This is the biggest mystery. And what? It is known. You know. And at the same time, you do not know. That's the paradox. You know, and yet you don't know. And I'll give you a few aphoristic, you can say, qualities about this I. First is, it divides us from everything else. It gives you something distinct, a unique personality, an identity. At the same time, that is what unifies us. Yeah, if everybody never had this I, then you would not feel identified with anybody. Okay. Try searching for this I. It's unreal. And yet at the same time, yes, it is real. Nobody is going around and say, I'm unreal. I'm unreal. No, it's there. But try to find out what it is. So that's why it's like, it can be grasped, yet at the same time ungraspable. Well, it is local. I know somewhere, it is somewhere inside. I don't know where it is, but it has to be somewhere inside. Okay. And at the same time, it's non-local. You tried searching where it is. Is in the head? In the stomach? In the gut? Yeah, somewhere. It's all over? Yes, it's all over. So it's foundational to our life, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and at the same time, non-foundational. And this is fun. So it's a closed system where you know your own secrets. Nobody else knows you. Only you know it. And at the same time, it's an open secret. We know what's going on inside there. At times we know, yeah, I'm single, I'm one. At the same time, has to be many. Because the very fact is, your microbiome also contains all the various stuff that enables you to live. That they also have the I. It is here, there's no doubt about it. And yet it is everywhere. There's no other bondage in this world but this I. This is the cause of bondage. And this is also the cause of freedom. People have been trying to say, especially Vedanta teachers, find out who you are. Who am I? Who am I? Of course, it shouldn't be verbalized like that. But if you go around, if you say, go around and say, who am I? Who am I? You say, this guy needs help. Okay. So when it's contracted, it's bondage. When it's expanded, it's freedom type. It appears and yet it disappears. Like you go into a swoon or you go to sleep, and it goes away. You can articulate it. Everything is I, the subject, here. And yet at the same time, it's an object. I can know myself. Okay. It is associated with the mind, of course. And again, it is not associated with the mind. It's concrete, yet at the same time, very hazy, mystical, as I said, ungraspable. And we have spoken about it is known. There's nothing that you know better than this. You know each and everything through the I. I know this table, I know this chair, I know this, and I know. You have to know it through the self, through this I. And yet, it's like that phantom. It's a material entity, obviously, because you can see it grows when you're praised and then gets deflated when somebody says, dismisses you. It's a material entity. And yet at the same time, it's not material. People say it's a spirit, it's a spirit there within you. We find it is individual. Yes, it is. This is me. There's no doubt about it. And at the same time, it is universal. This is the very door to everything, the I. And yet, this door is closed. If you want to know the secret, the mystery of the universe, that is the door. But you try searching into the door, you only find only walls. So it is true. You are you. It is true. There's no doubt about it. And yet, it is completely untrue. I think we have already gone into deeper waters. Now, no coming back. So, you can see, Sri Ramakrishna says, when you are aware of a jar, in the Indian philosophic, you can say, tradition, we'll say ghata, that is the pot. When you're aware of the pot, automatically you've got to be aware of the I. So the I and the you are eternally conjoined. This and the world outside. Now you might get the idea that, oh, this is a very strict, compartmentalized divisions. This is the I and this is the world, the you. It's actually not like that. Think of it like a spectrum. Okay, this is the I and then goes down there, the spectrum, and it ends up there with you. At the same time, we can also say, because I have spoken about it as a paradox, you can also say, wherever there's an I, there will be a you. The paradox, the contradiction, the division is within itself. I think this is clear. Sometimes the I, sometimes the you, sometimes I is there. Or you could look at it as this. The I is crowded or surrounded or circled by the you. The subject and the object is kind of enmeshed. It's just impossible for one to extricate. Well, then what? Sri Ramakrishna says, one cannot get rid of this I through reasoning. You reason all your life. I mean, reasoning in the sense of not this ordinary logical reasoning, the Vedantic reasoning, the discernment between what is I and what is not I. You try to do it, and we've got an entire philosophy which is called Nyayikas. The logicians, they have devoted their best energies in trying to logically arrive at things. It's one of the 6 systems of orthodox philosophies in India, Nyayikas. Nyaya is logic. They try to logically prove things without taking recourse to scripture or to tradition. They said, this is your mind, this is your intelligence, you can use it in a systematic way. So even there, but then, yes, there's a place where the I disappears. And when the I disappears, look at it like that. When Sri Ramakrishna used to go into samadhi, I'd like to bring a kind of a concrete example. And there were often times when there was a doctor around. The doctor used to place the stethoscope and find no heartbeat. And even tried to elicit a response from the eyeball. Puts the tip of the finger on the eye and there's no response. That is, of course, that's how they know this person is alive or dead. They flash a light, you see, and the pupil contracts. So Sri Ramakrishna had nothing of that. He's dead. And after some time, again he revives. What happened? This guy was dead. He comes alive. In that state, the I goes away. And when the I goes away, life goes away, mind goes away. So now you know what is attached to this I. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna says this I and mine is a product of ignorance. When Lakshmana asked Rama, what is this Maya? So he never gave him a long discourse, philosophical discourse. I and mine, you and yours is Maya. That's the most concise, most succinctly placed words. Okay. Now, let's put it like this. I said that there is something, the train of things attached to this I. If you bring in the Sankhya philosophy, the Sankhya philosophy, one of the most ancient philosophies in the world. It's more ancient than even the Vedanta. Now, in this Sankhya philosophy, they speak about this I. And they come about it in a very unique way. They speak about evolution. The first evolution is mental, and then the next evolution is physical. But to put it into context, take for instance, this body is made of all the materials, and so are your bodies, the same material, and so all the animals and the birds and the plants and everything, the whole universe has got the same material. So, why are you saying this is mine? So, whatever is yours has to be universal. It has to have a universal dimension. You cannot say this is my body, this is my body. Why is this called my body, my materials? You're crazy. It has to have universal materials. You are not made simply of some outlandish material that has not been discovered in the periodic table. No, it's all set. So the periodic table is there, you and me and everything, in everything. Now, if you think you have a mind, well, it has to, by implication, everything has to have a mind, including birds and animals and plants, and everything has to have a mind. If you have a mind, everything else has to have a mind. It cannot be halfway. Only we human beings are special. And that also, amongst the human beings, there are some more special. All that philosophy was very divisive. It destroyed our progress. If you have a mind, if you feel you're a mind, everything else has to have a mind. Like if you feel there's materials, everything has to have materials. If you think you have senses, then everything else has to have senses. It may not be in the form of these 5 senses. There are some beings with a different set of senses. Imagine a dog. You see how beautifully the sense of smell is. Compared to the dog, we are kind of worse than a dog. If you have the sense of I, you have the sense of I? Yes, all of us. That means everything has to have the sense of I, including even bacteria. Oh yeah. So now you get this idea. Whatever is there within you has to be universal. You cannot say this is separate. No. Now we know. As I said, no coming back. We've already gone into deep waters. So what is this I? I think you're getting an idea of this. If you haven't, you have not been following me. So in the Sankhya philosophy, what they do is say there's an evolution. It's called a Satkaryavad, the evolution. And how does the evolution begin? We know at some point it has to begin. Okay. Now it starts with the Sangyoga, the joining. Yoga is to join. Sangyoga is the proper joining of consciousness apparently with matter. The rudimentary matter. So that is called Prakriti, where everything is held in equilibrium. All the names and forms and all the qualities and everything, gunas, all held in equilibrium. Then that equilibrium is disturbed. And as it gets disturbed, like milk being transformed into yogurt, the first evolute of Prakriti is the Mahat, the great one. That is called the Buddhi or the intelligence. So the first evolute of Prakriti, of nature, is intelligence. Okay? Because this is what we see everywhere. If life has to survive, it has to be intelligent to adapt itself, to various circumstances and environments. The next evolute to come out of this universal, we are talking about now cosmic or universal intelligence. What emerges out then next is the sense of I. Now you know what it is. Okay? It is the ahamkar. That's a cosmic, the universal I. So there's a universal intelligence, then there's the universal sense of I. Now from this has emerged your mind, the universal mind, the cosmic mind. And also from this mind has emerged the 5 organs of perception, the 5 organs of action. Oh. No, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, no, this 24 cosmic principles. No, he said, you should say, 24 tattva, used to say. 24 categories of nature. So here you see intelligence, prakriti, intelligence, a sense of I, mind, the 5 organs of action and the 5 organs of perception. It's all coming from the mind. This is one of the things that people have this difficulty in understanding Eastern and Western philosophy. Western philosophy is under Eastern philosophy. Western philosophy says everything has come out of matter. And the mind is an emergent property of matter. The firing of the neurons, whatever gives rise to the idea of mind. In the Eastern philosophy, everything emerges from the mind, including matter. Okay. But there's an interim state where there's something called a tanmatras. The 5 universal tanmatras. These are very subtle creations. And from this creation, they combine, recombine, there's the permutation, combination and all, and then this physical matter emerges. So 5 rudimentary elements and 5 perceptible elements. So this makes 24, if you have been counting. And then we have something called, that consciousness is there, separate. It's a separate entity. So you are here, you have everything has emerged from the sense of I. It's called asmita. And this asmita is in every cell, in every living entity. You cannot have an entity without the sense of I. Oh yeah. You take a cell from your body and put it in a petri dish, it will have a life of its own. Try to kill it and it will try to run away. It is feeling I. It is everywhere. This is finding what is I? This is the root of creation. What else do you want? Oh really? Oh yeah. And you see, when you ask, what's the center of the universe? Science will say there's no center of the universe. The center is everywhere. Similarly, with this I, it's everywhere. It has to be everywhere. Otherwise, you will die. If the I was only in you and not in others, you will die. Okay? So here, you are joined to the entire world. You are a microcosm of the cosmos, a macrocosm. It cannot be otherwise. So you see how great your I is, and you thought I'm such a miserable fool. See now, think now, rethink these terms. As long as there's any life anywhere, there will be the sense of I, and it will be you. Okay. Now, there is always that, there was a German, you can say, theologian, Martin Buber. He talks about the constant combination of I and thou. It's like this. Suppose there's a mirror and you see yourself in the mirror. If you see yourself in the mirror, that is ignorance. And when you see the mirror, you see God, that is knowledge. Now the mirror, it's not external, of course, inside. People are saying, there is no God. Yeah. In Vedanta, it's very simple. If there's no God, there's no I also. Your very existence proves God. They say, there's a kind of quotation. There's an absence of evidence related to God. But the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Okay? So this is actually what it is. It is the most palpable thing. Sri Ramakrishna will say, Ami morile jhutive jonjol. When this I dies, all troubles cease. Now what is this I? If I dies, the I as an individual entity is an illusion. That illusion, when it dies, when it is dispelled, then what happens is, theologically speaking, the I belongs not to you. It belongs to God. Fun, isn't it? And we are saying, where is God? Where is God? That's why they're saying, this is the nearest of the near. He is thyself. And then again, you see, your I, like I said, is connected to everything, every other I. And all those I's belong to Ishvara, God. Ishvara is the sum total of everything. So it is that consciousness, which evolves into the sense of I. It is individual yet universal. It is one, it is many. This is the truth. This is the reality within you. And if you can grasp it, it's there for all times. Whenever you try to express the I through love, your heart grows greater and greater, expands. Know that the sense of I is growing. The whole exercise of spiritual practices is this. And the more you contract, then you know what it is. I'll stop here for questions if there are. Om, peace, peace, peace. You haven't yet come. Do you have any question? Yeah.
Can you talk about, is there a connection or a link between the sense of I and the individual sense of purpose? Is like there's a false sense of I,
True.
sense of I, and then it seems like they're the same for purpose. Are those linked or are they separate?
This sense of purpose comes due to your past karma, past education. So you have the particular, I want this. Somebody said, I don't want to go there, I want to go here. So within this universality, there's an individuality. And yet at the same time, everything has become distinct because of your level of knowledge, your past karma, your education, your everything. So you have a sense of purpose. Now what's the highest sense of purpose? Is to become free, moksha. So if you can keep that in mind and you have ad hoc goals to go towards it, then there must be a kind of a master plan in your life. Otherwise you'll be like a kind of football.
I guess so asking, if you find, let's say, a correct sense of purpose that's on the path to the ultimate sense of purpose? Is that akin to saying you are on the path to finding the correct sense of life?
Yeah. So the question is for those who are online, yeah, the sense of purpose. When you find your sense of purpose, is it, what was to restate it? Is that is it going towards the real self? Is that's a good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, of course. Anything that makes you universal, anything, whatever your purpose of life, it has to have a universal dimension. If anything that makes you universal, that is freedom. And everything that makes you contracted is you're wasting your time, in the sense of you're losing steam on this. So the sense of purpose, this is what's the goal of life and what's all this thing. Yeah, Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of life is to realize God. Not to eat and drink and sleep. What is that? What's special about this? Even animals do that. What's the big thing about it? Oh, we love our children. Even the animals, they love their children. You know? Go and see them, ask them. So what's the difference between them and you? This going consciously towards becoming universal. Okay. So, Rahil is saying, what causes the sense of I to rise in some forms such as human, animal cells, etc., versus something like a rock, chair, etc.? Well, you see that I'll tell you what. The chair was once a tree, okay? So it had a sense of I. Now, you dissolve that chair, it will go back to its elements. The rock also will go back to its elements. And from there, another tree will come up with a sense of I. So what is apparently insentient can transition between this sentience. I'm sentient, but there will come a time when I'll become insentient. So what's the big deal about it? Why are some people so afraid of death and this and that? This is the nature of it. Transitions. It's like a pendulum. Everything. Okay. Thank you for this. And those who want are still eager to ask questions, but I'm embarrassed. You can go. You can. Okay. Yeah.
One question. As the Swamiji, you said that the mind is a collection of our memories as well. So that brings a false sense of I. But when we talk about the liberation and moksha that leads to universality, how much of that is about now in this life versus past and next life?
Yeah. He's talking about mind is memories. Yeah. And how much is it necessary for us to attain that moksha? That is, do these memories help in attaining that moksha? That's what?
My question is, like, if we let go of those memories, then the moksha is now, right? But then it wouldn't have anything to do with physical death and
Yeah, saying if suppose we give up our memories now, which is not easy to do, then moksha is now, here. That's what. So the mind freed from memories is free, isn't it?
Yeah.
A moksha, whatever. Try removing that mind out, the memories out from the mind. So the very material of the inner instrument is called the antakarna, inner instrument. It consists of memories. That's the basic material. Then we have the sense of I. Then you have the intelligence. And you have the deliberative faculty. That is called in Indian philosophy manas, mind. Mind, buddhi, intelligence, aham, I, and memory, chitta. So in the later stages of yoga, you have to completely eradicate all memories. That is, you have to burn them. How do you do it? You burn them to the fire of yoga. And that also then, there's another level which is called a destruction of the mind. That is the destruction of the individual mind. And the example given is like you take water in a jar and you go and pour it in the lake. Now what happens to the water? Your mind has become not a no mind, but universal mind. So memory, now at the same time, you see what happens is, not all memories are obstructive to moksha, to the now. Because there are two classes of memories. One which distract you from yoga, one which enables you towards yoga. They are called a nirodha samskaras and a vyuthana samskaras. So in the practice of yoga, first these things have to be. Because after you go down up to that stage, when you come down, your mind is not a blank stage. It's not that tabula rasa, as people say, like, oh, it's a clean. There's never a tabula rasa, clean slate of the mind. That person must be able to recognize, oh, that's a bulb and that's the photo frame and this and this. That person will not go blank. But those memories are now you can say, the collective memories of the universe. That person can move around and engage in things, and then at the very end, the mind dies. That's why the Upanishads, tatra mana amana bhavati. There the mind becomes a no mind. The mind ceases to exist. The mind in its present individual state has to die to get you into the now. Even the word now is a misnomer, because that state transcends. Because as long as you have a mind, you have the sense of time. And the sense of time is linked with space. Time and space is always linked together. This was known to the ancient philosophers, Desh, Kala, Nimitta. Einstein came and put it in a kind of equation form. It's always known there. Time will be dependent on space and the laws of causation. Okay? So when the mind is destroyed, the now goes away. This is just a kind of a term used by the Buddhists, and even now the Vedantists and New Ageism. It's a now. Be in the present. Be in the present. You cannot be in the present without being in the past and the future. When you say now, you have to bring in the past and the present, future. So you transcend the limits of time. So in the yoga aphorisms, they say, breaking the rod of time. That is breaking the rod of time. The yogi lives. Okay? Lives in the sense, not physically. You must understand, the physical material has come due to the laws of nature and the laws of karma. They have both combined to give us this. So the laws of karma and the laws of nature will disintegrate and recombine into something else. Like this morning I ate a mango. Now, that mango is not a mango anymore. So what happened to the mango? It has become me. Nah. In a way, but it's not in a way. Okay. Except for the thank yous, there's nothing much here. Yeah.
So I have a question regarding that. So I think when you do like japa and mantra, so there's something called chitta shuddhi.
Ha. Yeah.
So can you enlighten me?
Yeah. I'm saying when you do japa and dhyana, there's something called the chitta shuddhi. The purification of the mind. Purification of in the yoga scriptures, it's called it's better like that. Chitta, the exact term is smriti parishuddho, when memory is purified. Okay. Now with this chitta shuddhi, the memories will remain. The chitta, the memories. But what happens is, attraction and repulsion, the likes and the dislikes, that is disabled. You got this? So when you say this purification of the mind, like will you forget your childhood and everything else? No, you will remember everything. But the things that actually evoke, that the venom that this likes and this dislikes, in regard to all memories, they are disabled by your japa and dhyana. Okay, that is why they say purification is absolutely necessary. It's not only japa and dhyana that purifies the mind. Every selfish work binds you, and every unselfish work liberates you. And that's why yesterday we had something called karma yoga to teach people how to work unselfishly. Work is extremely powerful in purifying the mind. Then higher than that is, of course, japa, and then higher is dhyana. So the mind is purified first of its likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. And then later on it becomes, as I said, it understands, oh, my mind is a universal mind. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Similar on the same topic, you use the word kind of, you have to destroy the mind eventually. And when you use the term destroy, it seems like you have to be sort of like actively fighting against in order to destroy it. But it seems like you kind of have three options, right? You can be at peace with it, you can destroy it, or you can ignore. And it seems like oftentimes people try to ignore parts of the mind that doesn't do.
That won't help, yeah.
But then also destroying kind of feels like an active battle versus finding peace.
Oh, yeah, it's a battle. The question was the destruction of the mind. Oh, it's an active battle. So your struggles in life is not external. Your struggles in life are internal. So you are destroying certain things which are making you, say, small or miserable. You have to destroy them actually. You break them. And then slowly on breaking all of those things, what happens is, when everything has become disabled, then it's like the mind is disabled. But the material of the mind then will become like pure. Another example is given in the Vedanta. That's also, like, in the old days, they used to put alum for all the sediment in the water to settle, So, and then they should take the clean water out. So the itinerant monks used to carry sometimes alum because they had to drink water from it. So your spiritual practices, your effort will act like a kind of alum that makes all the memories settle down into a sediment. And then what happens to that mind then? Every evolution comes about because of the involution. I think we have discussed this. The whole of the tree has come from that seed. So it has evolved and it has expanded, and then it contracts. It goes back. So the mind goes back into its seed form. When you go to sleep, the mind goes into a seed form. Sorry. I've got a cough. So your mind goes into a seed form, and from there it emerges. Ah, that's me. Okay, so it's like that. And this happens on your individual level. On the cosmic level also it happens. The whole thing goes into a seed form. And from there it again emerges. Yeah, we have some time down there. Okay. Just to make a kind of announcement, evening we have Ram Nam at 7 after the Arati. And also our Global Vedanta the online Global Vedanta issue that's published from this center is available online. Please read it. It's a special issue on temples and other things also. And oh yeah, we have Mother's Luncheon coming up. So go about and register. So it's going to be fun. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.